I mean, it could be the future of health, the future of travel, the future of... I'm stumped because there's so many. Yeah. I guess, actually, you know what, I kind of like that, the future of the future.
Okay.
I like that quite a lot, because, so should we do that? People have been trying to predict the future for as long as there have been people and as long as there's been a future. And they've almost always been wrong. But then you look at people today trying to predict the future and they assume that they're probably right. I think the biggest problem in predicting the future is that people predict the future on a linear level. You know, they look at sort of like the variables that they can see, like the things that are in front of them. You know, like in the late 19th century, predicting the future involved thinking of faster trains and bigger hot air balloons. You know, like if you were talking to a futurist in 1890 and you asked them, and what's the best way to get a human being from London to Los Angeles? And they said, like, you know, just think of anything. They'd be like, well, a really fast hot air balloon across the Atlantic Ocean, and then the fastest train you could imagine from New York to Los Angeles. That's the biggest flaw in predicting the future, is sort of saying, like, the future will involve technologies that exist today, but better. Whereas the truth is the future involves technologies that we can't even conceive of. What's also interesting in thinking about the future is there are a lot of things, institutions, technologies that exist now that are so banal and mundane that 20 years ago would have seemed utterly magical and revolutionary. You know, the fact that we can watch movies on portable phones. You know, if you'd come to me 30 years ago and said, you will have, first of all, a portable phone that could leave your house, seemed mind-boggling. And a portable phone that could leave your house that you could use to take pictures, create your own movies, create music, watch movies on. Like, if you had suggested that that would possibly exist to me when I was 15 years old, I would have said, I will never be unhappy again for the rest of my life if I had this phone. And now, it's boring. Like, we exist in this miraculous state of the future, but we're already bored with it. Climate change trumps everything else. You know, if Washington, New York, San Francisco, London, et cetera, are all underwater, the world that we know it, to a large extent, will cease to exist. And unfortunately, with all these ice shelves that are about to fall into the sea, most climatologists believe that the question is not if it will happen, but simply when. You know, does it happen in 15 years? Does it happen in 50 years? Does it happen in 500 years?
What city would you move to?
Well, I live in LA right now, and LA is kind of interesting because LA's on the ocean, but I live up in the hills. So I'm sort of guardedly optimistic that I might have oceanfront property in the next 50 years or so. Because LA's one of the few, like it's a coastal city, but it has mountains and hills. So for the time being, I'll stay in LA. I mean, if I had one piece of advice to everyone apart from like take care of yourself, don't invest in coastal real estate at any point in the next 50 years.